Hey, what's up guys? I'm Poker Face Ash and welcome to my channel. I have a huge announcement.
Come on, get in the game.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Poker Face Ash and welcome to my channel. Today I'm headed to go play a 2-3 no limit cash game session 1000 max buy-in at Lone Butte. It's going to be one of my final times playing there. I have lived in Phoenix, Arizona my entire life. It is somewhere so near and dear to my heart and I never thought I'd be leaving. But guys, I am headed to another state. I am moving to Dallas, Texas. I am very excited, and ironically the move has nothing to do with poker at all. My entire family is moving there and life's too short to be away from family and those you love, so I'm going with them. So I'm leaving in a little less than a month. I have a lot of packing to do, but things are going to be really great. I'm excited for the move. I think it's going to be a great change, and of course a lot of amazing poker will be played in Dallas and in Austin. So anyways, all right, I will see you guys at the casino for one of my very last sessions here at Lone Butte before I make the move to Dallas. Only in Arizona do you wear hoodies when it's 100 degrees outside. Alright, it's time to play some 2-3 1000 max buy-in no limit hold'em at Lone Butte. They were starting a brand new table, so we finally got our chips and as players showed up and we were ready to play. In one of my very first hands, I looked down at pocket queens. There's 2 limps in front of me. I'm in the hijack and raised to $20. They both call, so now we're going 3 ways to a flop. The flop is 6 deuce deuce with 2 hearts. It checks to me. I don't need to bet very big here, but I do need to protect and get some value for my hand as well as charge them for their flush draws, so I bet $30. Sadly, we're not going to get any more value for our pocket queens in this hand. They both fold and we pick up our very first pot of the session. In the next hand I played, I have ace queen offsuit. There's a limp ahead of me. I'm in the low jack and raised to $17. I get 4 colors, so we go 5 ways to a flop of 5, 6, 7 rainbow. The original under the gun limper leads for $55, then there's a raise to $110, and now I'm able to make a very easy fold and move on to the next hand. In this hand, there's a limp under the gun, the small blind completes, and I look down at queen 5 offsuit in the big blind. Definitely gonna check this one, so we head to a flop 3 ways in this limped pot. The flop is queen 3 5 with 2 hearts. The small blind leads for a huge sizing. He makes it 20. Any draw he leads with here, like a straight draw or a flush draw, he's not going to fold to a raise, and if he has a queen, we want to get more value. I'm at the near top of my range in this limp pot, flopping top 2 pair, so I raise to $55, not a huge sizing. Unfortunately, the under the gun limper folds and he folds as well, but we pick up another small pot. But don't worry guys, there's some fun hands coming right up. In this hand, I raise with ace-king offsuit under the gun to $15. The low jack calls, and so we go heads up to a flop of jack 7-9 with 2 spades. This is not a great board for me to continue on. This is going to smash the low jack's calling range right in the face, so I check, hoping that he checks as well. And luckily, my opponent does indeed check. The turn is another jack. Now I think I can start betting and get him to fold a lot of his overcards and all of his suited wheel aces that completely miss this flop, besides a flush draw of course. So I start betting 25 and planning to also bet pretty big on the river if he makes the call on the turn, but no need for that because when I bet 25, he folds. In this hand, I find myself in a really awkward spot where there's a straddle on the button to $6. I'm next to act in the small blind. I really hate these spots and I probably should have just been folding pre-flop as it is, but I decided to limp and see if I could see a flop cheaply. Sure enough, we do go 4 ways to a flop as the button checks his option. The flop is 9-5-5 with 2 clubs, and I do have the jack of clubs in my hand. Unless someone has a 5, no one really flopped a very strong hand on this board, and we can turn a lot of cards that give us some more equity in the hand, and I'm feeling spicy, so I decide to take the lead and bet $13. The button calls and the turn is a really great card. It's the 10 of clubs, so now we pick up a flush draw and we're drawing to the nut straight. This is where I think I make a mistake. Being out of position, I have enough equity to continue in the hand. I think I should be checking here, although I'm not entirely sure. But I decided to keep firing, especially because this is an overcard to the flop and it's going to be harder for him to even call with a 9 now, so I decided to bet $25. And annoyingly, the button snap raises to 100. Now I put myself in a very awkward spot and I'm super annoyed, but I'm the one who did this to myself. Let's call and see our river card. The river is probably the weirdest card in the deck. It's the 8 of clubs, so now I have a jack high flush and a straight, although it doesn't matter. I check and he jams for $500, a massive overbet. I didn't know much about this player before this hand. As we went throughout the session, he was doing some very unorthodox things, but most of the time when he jammed all in, he definitely had a nutted hand. Obviously, with a paired board, I can't make the call here with my jack high flush, but very annoying spot, and I definitely don't love the way I played this hand. If I would have just checked the turn and called one of his bets, I might have been able to hero call on the river, but as played, we lose an annoying pot and move on to the next one. You guys, I'm having one final session here at Lone Butte, a farewell, a going away party, a meetup game, 2-3, 1000 max here, August 13th, Saturday at 4 p.m. I will see you guys here. And the player to my right who got me in that paired board hand with the queen jack offsuit limps. I want to get this guy. I raised to $20 and try to isolate him. And indeed, he does make the call, so we go heads up to a flop of queen 9-5 with 2 spades. I don't have a spade in my hand, I have ace high on a somewhat dynamic board. When he checks to me, I check as well, seeing what develops on the turn. The turn is the 4 of diamonds. He bets $25, and I'm not convinced just yet, and there are some river cards that hopefully will help me out. I can bluff on, or just pick up a pair of 10s or aces. He bets 25, and I make the call. The river is the king of spades, it does bring in the flush. He checks, and now I have ace high. I don't think I'm good here. I have to bluff if I want to win this hand. It's not the most ideal hand to turn into a bluff, but in these stakes, I can play exploitatively and just be aggressive, so that's what I choose to do. I bet $50, and luckily, he folded pretty quickly, so we get away with one. In this hand, there's a button straddle and a couple limps ahead of me. I look down at ace-10 offsuit. I'm gonna go for it and attack this dead money. I make it $30. The lady to my left cold calls and one of the original limper calls, so we go 3 ways to a flop of 9-6-3 with 2 clubs. I thought I had the ace of clubs in my hand, which eliminates some of the flush draws they could have on this board, and unless they have a straight draw or a flush draw, if they have any type of pair here besides a flopped set, it's gonna be really hard for them to continue, so I'm gonna put max pressure in this spot. Again, when you're facing multiple opponents, betting into them already is polarizing enough, so you don't have to choose a big size, and I make it $35 and they both fold very quickly, so we pick up a nice one in this straddled pot. In this hand, there's a limp under the gun, and I look down at ace-8 of hearts. I decide to overlimp and see if we can't see a flop multi-way and overflush somebody. Raising here doesn't accomplish much, as the whole table will call if I put in a raise unless I make it massive. It's better to let worse hands in, worse aces in, worse flushes in, and see if we can't overflush somebody. The cutoff raises to 15, and then the under the gun limper back raises to $30. Because I don't think this pot is getting 4-bet hardly at all, if not ever, I decide to make the call for the same reasons I limped. I'm also not quite sure what to make of the under the gun limper's back raise here, particularly for this sizing. If he has a big hand, he wants to get all the dead money and raise a lot bigger than he did, so this seems really suspicious. Everyone else calls as well, so now we're going multi-way to a very inflated pot. The flop comes queen high with 2 hearts, and so now we flop the nut flush draw. The original under the gun limper, the one who made it $30 pre-flop, puts in a bet of $60. I call and the button calls, so now we're going 3 ways to a turn card. Come on, poker gods, one time. Well, the poker gods hear my prayers. It's the jack of hearts, so now we have the absolute nuts. The under the gun player bets into us yet again for $125. If he has a set, he's not folding. If the other player has a strong hand, he's not folding either. But it's time to put some more money in this pot and see if we can't get stacks in. I decide to raise to $300. The button tanks, so he must have had a somewhat strong hand, but he decided on a fold, and now the under the gun player puts in the call. The river is a 6 of diamonds, a total brick, so now I have the stone nuts, and I'm just praying that my opponent has something he can call a massive bet with. But I don't have to worry about that because he leads into me yet again for $200. I have about $600 behind, and I didn't see any point in doing anything other than going all in, so I jam for $600 total. My opponent goes deep into the tank. This hand actually took quite a long time. He finally turns over one of his cards and it's the King of Hearts. And I'm thinking he has pocket kings because that's the only hand I think he would tank here with, especially holding the King of Hearts. He's like, do you really have a flush? And trying to talk to me, but I'm not going to move and give any information away. I was very disappointed and sad that my opponent finds a fold and he shows the other card and it was an offsuit queen. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the rest of his chips, but we do pick up a very nice pot and we're now in Profitville.
Alright, little mid-session update. Obviously had a super good hand there with the turned nut flush against that guy who had king queen. I honestly, I swear, I thought he had like pocket aces or kings or sets instead of queens, possibly a set of jacks. So I was going for max value on the river because I thought he had it. So to see king queen and him actually tanking and thinking about a call was crazy. Anyway, this game is so good, you guys. This game is great. People putting money in the pot. I'm seeing a lot of mistakes being made, so it's a great table to try and capitalize on. I'm planning on being here for a while. Usually on these breaks I say, oh, I'm gonna play a little bit longer and then leave, but honestly, I'm gonna probably be here for a while. This game is very good. We have chips, and I think I'm playing a little bit better than from the start. Had a little bit of a rough start there, so all right, let's go back in there and get some more chips.
In this hand, a new player had entered the table, and in one of his very first hands, he raises the button to $20. I look down at the beautiful ace-10 of diamonds in the big blind, and I make the call, so we go heads up to a flop. A flop is 2-4-5 with 1 diamond. I check, and he checks back. When he checks here, he shouldn't have many hands that connects with this board because a lot of his pair plus straight draw type hands, any of his smaller pairs are going to start betting, so he probably doesn't have much. The turn is an offsuit jack, and I decide to start leading, and I make it $20. He makes the call, so we head to a river card, which is a 6, so now there's a 4-liner on the board. Like I said, a lot of pair plus straight draw type hands would most likely continue on the flop, and now I feel like I can represent a straight, so I decide to bet $50, which is about 70% pot. I thought it'd be enough to get the job done here, but unfortunately my opponent doesn't think very long before putting in the call with Jack 9 of spades, so unfortunately that one doesn't work out for us. Alright guys, this hand pains me to the core. I played it horribly and ultimately ended up getting what I deserved. My friend Carlos was wrapping up a session at another table, but he desperately wanted to get on the vlog and play a hand against me. Since he came from the other game, he brought his stack with him, which was over 2,500. I also had a lot of chips in front of me at this point, so we were pretty deep. I was about to wrap up the session and really wasn't looking to get into a huge pot, especially against another big stack at the table. I know that's not really how I should think about the game, but no one likes to lose a big pot right before wrapping up. I raise pocket 3s in early position and it folds around to Carlos, who straddled on the button, and he decides to put in a 3-bet to $60. I'm thinking, alright, here we go. Here's Carlos's chance to punt against me. I make the call, hoping to flop a set and let Carlos bluff it off. The flop comes Queen 8-3 with 2 diamonds. So we flop a very disguised set here. Carlos decides to downbet on this board to $60 and I make the call. I definitely think since we unblock all of his queens and flush draws, we should definitely be raising on this board, which is one of the many reasons that I'm kicking myself in this hand. I make the call and we head to a turn card, which is a 10. I check it over to him once again, he bets 150. Because Carlos plays so tight, I actually was a little bit afraid that my set was not good here. Once again, I should definitely be putting in a raise here. I'm only beat realistically by a set of queens, 10s, or 9s, and I need to deny equity against flush draws, but I played this hand horribly, as I already mentioned, so I put in the call. The river is a jack. I check it over to him, and he bets $500, which was around pot, a huge polarizing bet. What really sucks about this card is now ace-king got there, a set of jacks, 10s, and queens beat me. I didn't perceive Carlos having a 9 in this spot unless he was just deciding to lose his mind against me. I can't make the call with my set here, as gross as it is, and I'm just sick to my stomach with the way I played this hand. I decide to put in the fold, and he shows King 9 offsuit, so he gets there on the river, and if I would have just played my hand the way I was supposed to, he never would have saw the river and I would have picked up a pot. Instead, I lose about $270 in the hand, and it feels bad, but you know what? Every time I get to review these hands, it's another lesson for me to learn and get better at the game, and so for that, I'm thankful. Alright, this is one of the last hands I played for the night, and the biggest pot I played for the night. There's a raise under the gun to $15 by a pretty tight player. The player to my right 3-bets and makes it 55. I look down at pocket kings on the button, a dream spot. I make it $130. The original raiser calls and the 3-better folds, so now we're going heads up in a 4-bet pot. The flop comes absolute gin. It's king high with 2 diamonds. He checks, and since there's a flush draw out there, I can't let this one check through even though I flop top set and I have to just pray he has something he can call me with. I bet $125. He makes the call. I'm praying for a non-diamond turn, but unfortunately, the poker gods don't listen this time. It is a 5 of diamonds. He checks. I'm gonna check and see what develops on the river. The river is a beautiful card, so the poker gods redeemed themselves. It is another 5, so now I have top full house. I anticipated my opponent checking it over to me, but he almost snap bets $300. I am absolutely loving life at this moment, and now I have to decide what to raise to. I only have about 1100 left in my stack. While I think all in is the obvious play, I'm not sure what hand can hero me here except for maybe the nut flush. And even then he might find a fold because of how tight he is. I decide to raise to 900. He goes into the tank for a little bit and then, unfortunately, puts in the fold after much deliberation. But for the last pot of the night, I scoop a nice one.
All right, what a crazy session. Was a bit bummed to lose with that set of 3s against Carlos, but Carlos, nice hand. I know he wanted to make the vlog so bad, and he came over to our table. He actually was gonna leave, but then he saw a seat open at my table, wanted to get in the game, and ended up making a hand against me when he was trying to make a move, and gets there against my set of 3s. But after that, won a nice hand with the pocket kings. Overall, a really good session. We were in the game for $1,350. I cashed out with $1,930 for a profit of $600. So definitely take that. Nice win, and one of my last sessions here at Lone Butte. But you guys, I'm having one final session here at Lone Butte, a farewell, a going away party, a meetup game, 2-3, 1000 max here. August 13th, Saturday at 4 p.m. I will see you guys here. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed the vlog, would you do me a huge favor and go all in and like, comment, and subscribe? It would mean the world to me.
Subscribe! I see her.
Hey, thanks. Remember, it's only up from here. I will see you at the meetup game. Peace out.